Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to the How to Open Your Creative Channels 5-Day Writing Challenge. Welcome to day 3. I'm Rachel. I am a freelance writer and a writing coach.
And I'm Alysia. I'm a mom, a business owner, a writer, and a life coach as well. And today we're going to be talking about our character development, because I think that that's something that a lot of fiction writers struggle with is their character, who they are, what they do, all that kind of fun stuff. But stay tuned, nonfiction writers, we've got some stuff to do as well.
Absolutely.
So Rachel had this really cool idea about having a therapy session with your character. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'm working on this fantasy trilogy, and which is kind of funny because I've never read a fantasy book actually. So it's not my genre of choice. I enjoy the movies, but haven't read a book. So I was trying to, get to know my characters a little bit, and I was really struggling with these two main-ish characters. One's the main character and the other one's an important character, but he's not the main character. Both of them are alpha males, but as I was writing them, they seemed to come off as basically the same person. And that was annoying me to no end because I want them to have distinguishing characteristics. Otherwise, it's going to be like, what's the point of having two characters that are basically the same person? So it came up into my mind because visualization is something that's been important to me for a number of years, is to use that to try and get to know my characters better. So I just popped into my head one day, I'm going to try having a therapy session with them. And so I got really quiet, closed my eyes, did some deep breathing, and imagined myself in an office, in a chair. And my first character came in, and he was just like his body language said so much in that moment that I hadn't recognized before. He was just like, he was kind of doubled over and just dejected and exhausted. And you can tell that what was going on in the story was really taking a toll on him. And then he like plopped down on the couch and just put his head in his hands. And I was just like, dude, what's going on with you? Like, tell me everything.
Yeah.
And then when I was done, sounds horrible. When I was done with him, I invited the next one to come in. And he came in completely different. He was standing up straight. He was in a suit. He was like immaculate. It was just perfect. And he had this air of, yeah, crap is happening, but I'm not going to let anyone see that it's affecting me. And so he sat down and he was just like, he had this little cane thing, even though he's young. And it was just, this whole demeanor about him that was completely different. So even though they had this characteristic of being the alpha male in common, they both expressed it in different ways. And so I was able to, when I wrote them, I was able to find ways, specifically in body language, writing about their body language, that was able to help me distinguish between the two. And I think that my story is going to be better for it.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like it. Like I have a clear visual of who your characters are, and like I know both of those types of men.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so cool. So what are some of the questions that you could ask your characters in their therapy session?
Yeah, so I would ask them, like, how are you feeling today? How did you feel when such and such event happened to you? What do you want to happen next in the story? And how do you feel about this certain character? Do you trust them? And if you don't, why not? So those are just a few of the questions to get your wheels turning. I do want to make a point too that it's not limited to just one character. You could even try having couples therapy or group therapy with some of your characters. Or if you're just having a complete block about everything that's going on, and maybe some of the tips that we have outlined so far in this challenge aren't quite working, you might want to have a therapy session with your muse. And yeah, just ask them, like, what's holding you back right now? Why aren't you wanting to communicate with me? And an important question, I think, is what can I do to make you feel safe so that you want to share the story with me? So those are some ideas.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. And I think that, sometimes we are in our own way when it comes to being a writer, and Rachel and I are both life coaches who would love to help you kind of overcome that block. So if that's something you're interested in, then absolutely drop us a comment for sure, and we'd love to kind of help you with that. So what about our nonfiction?
Okay.
How does this help them?
Personally, I don't use this when it comes to client work. I think you can get a lot more assistance for client work from doing research, taking breaks, getting out into nature, writing something else. But when it comes to something like writing a memoir or writing a self-help book, I think visualization can be huge. Mm-hmm. Of course, for those people that are doing client work, if you want to give this a try, please do. It may work for you. It just hasn't for me personally. But when it comes to self-help kind of stuff, I think it can be super helpful. The reason I'm so...
You're the character, right?
What's that?
In some cases, you're the character.
Yes.
If you're writing like a self-help or a memoir, you're the character.
Yeah, exactly. And just some backstory on why visualization is so important to me is because I was at a job for a number of years that was really bad. And every year that I was there, it continued to take a toll on my self-confidence and self-esteem. And I got to the point where I felt like I was trapped there. Like I couldn't leave. I couldn't find another job because I wasn't good enough. And so I was stuck in this situation forever. It actually took going to therapy to help build up my confidence and self-esteem to actually leave. And that's the next step that I took, was actually going back to school to be a coach. But in my sessions with my therapist, we would do the guided visualizations. And it was during those moments when I realized, wow, I have a really active imagination and I'm really creative. And oh my goodness, I haven't written anything creatively in 12 years. Like that blew my mind at that moment. I was like, where'd the time go? But seeing how much activity was going on with my imagination, how much it just wanted to break through, helped me to start writing again. It helped me to gain some confidence in my creative abilities so that I could go after my writing goals, both creative and freelance. Mm-hmm. And when I sit to do a visualization for nonfiction work, I find that there are like messages from my intuition that come through in pictures, basically. It could be like a movie, like a scene, like a therapy session, or it could just be images that come to me. And so I've been able to use that to help deepen some of the content that I create for others, whether it's with the holistic wellness coaching and life coaching or the writing coaching. So I think it's definitely something that both fiction writers and nonfiction writers can benefit from if they want to give it a try.
And sometimes it's something that's just a super small shift too. Like I do some writing for my life coach, and he does a lot of videos. Mm-hmm. I listen to the videos and I pretty much create blog articles based on the videos. So it's going from audio to written. Mm-hmm. Then he's also written a book, and now I'm writing articles from the book, which to me, I was telling myself that it was this big different thing. And then someone said, it's just what you're telling yourself. Mm-hmm. So, and I realized, it's just a book report. I've done a million book reports. So that's really what it is just a book report. So tell them about our writing challenge for today. So what's their assignment?
Okay, so their assignment is to have a therapy session with their character. Again, you can do this with a single character, multiple characters, you can have couples therapy, or you can try doing it with your muse. If you're a nonfiction writer, I would say visualize what, like maybe sit down and think of the person that you're trying to help and having like a therapy session with them and see what kind of things they tell you would be important for you to write about. And journal what you learn and share that with us because it's super interesting to see what you guys are coming up with in your journal prompts. And we also have some writing prompts for you too for your 15 minutes of writing today. And Alysia, why don't you tell them what the fiction prompt is?
So because we're talking about action, or we're talking about characters, we've picked a prompt that is just to write action. And so today's action prompt is to break into a building. And if you want double star points from us, you can tie that into Monday's prompts, which what I've already forgotten what Monday's prompt was.
Yeah, you've been asked to write something and they go missing.
Yes, so you were asked to write something and they went missing, so now you have to break into a building if you wanted to add them together. Totally two different prompts. So whatever floats your boat in this situation.
And we also have a prompt for the freelancers or the nonfiction writers. I want you, I didn't come up with it. I found a phrase that I found interesting, and I want you to pretend that you are the one that came up with the phrase, and I want you to convince your audience that the phrase is true. And the quote is from Arnold J. Toynbee, and it says, "The supreme accomplishment in life is to blur the line between work and play." So see how you can convince someone that that is true.
All right, so don't forget we're over halfway through our 5-day challenge. So come join us tomorrow for day 4, and on day 5 we still have something that we're giving away. So
Stay tuned, and please comment with your journal prompts and